everybody, and welcome to Energetic Principles Report for the new moon in Virgo. My name is Melissa LaFera, and I'm an astrologer and tarot reader from San Diego, California. And in this video, I'm going to discuss what to expect during this new moon, the Sabian symbol that is assigned to this degree, and also what the tarot has to say. So let's get started.
And may the stars be with you.
All right, so let's talk about this new moon in Virgo, which is going to be happening exactly on Tuesday, September 19th at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is Wednesday, September 20th at 5:30 a.m. Universal Time and 3:30 p.m. Aussie Eastern Time. And that's going to happen at 27 degrees and 27 minutes Virgo. And I have to tell you, it's a pretty interesting new moon because for a couple reasons. We're having this new moon so late in our Virgo cycle. Usually we have a new moon that's a little sooner on in whatever season, sign season we're in. But for this one, because we had two new moons in Leo in that solar eclipse, this new moon kind of got pushed back to the end of the sign. So we're finally having our new refreshing boost of energy during the end of this Virgo season. So just quickly to let you know, a new moon is a time where we essentially get a little quiet with ourselves and we go in and we discern what it is that we want to manifest and what seeds we want to plant during the next 30 days or so. So this is a time where we're kind of sensing what it is that we are looking to do. We're, getting our minds wrapped around a new beginning of a cycle. And it's really a potent time to put plans in place so that you can start this new beginning and get that action flowing. And it's also a great time for what we call light casting, where you basically, write down what it is that you want to envision or want to manifest during this lunar cycle, or if it takes longer than 30 days, beyond that. But it's a time of just getting those intentions out there and allowing the energy to kind of cultivate them so that they can become more than just the seed and, start to sprout and then in turn blossom and flourish. So we're all just trying to, begin to blossom and flourish here. So let's talk about what's going to happen, what to expect. Well, first of all, we have a super party in Virgo. Like, it is Virgo heavy right now. We have Venus, who moves into Virgo today, actually, the day of the new moon, and she is joined by the sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars. Every single personal planet is in Virgo right now. So what does that mean? Well, Virgo is the sign of hyper reality and having this keen awareness of what is going on around you at all times, So there is this kind of element of just being hyper aware of our reality right now, and every little thing that we touch is is amplified that much more in this material world. But the kicker is that we actually have Mercury, who is the ruler of this new moon, is in exact opposition today with Neptune in Pisces. So we have Mercury, who is opposing Neptune, and we also have Mars, who's about to oppose Neptune later on in the week. So even though this week has this kind of hyper reality feel to it, and we can very much sense everything that's around us and what our life is on this day-to-day reality, there's also this nebulousness and this kind of confusion and this almost tiredness that is happening right now with all these Neptune transits. So even though we have all these planets that are looking for that utmost clarity in Virgo, we have Neptune on the other side of things kind of, fogging the lens a little bit. So just know that this one, speaking personally, has the last couple days, and today in particular, has felt very, I don't want to say run down, but a lot of us might be a little lower level right now, and it's okay. So even though I just talked about planting seeds and getting started and doing this, that, this actually might be the time to be a little more low key just because of those Neptune transits, but, start that strategizing, because that's what Virgo is really good at. Strategizing, planning, finding kind of what's wrong in a sense, and being able to fix that, figuring out a solution to that. And that's where, we're going to be challenged by that whole Neptunian energy, because Neptune kind of hides all those solutions and makes them a little harder to dig out. But at the other end of that, Neptune represents in Pisces, just in general, kind of what we dream for and what we ideally envision for ourselves on this grander world scale. So this could be a perfect time to basically go within and start to question what your dreams are and how to make those a reality. Because we have all this juice in Virgo right now that is saying, okay, well, we are hyper-focused on this. So make sure it's the right thing. We're hyper-focused on this. And I'm hoping that it's a dream that you want to make real, because I think personally that is where the real energy of this new moon is, because it's a fresh new start. It's a beginning, and it's a highly focalized beginning with all this energy in Virgo. So how can we best use that to really implement that light casting I was talking about earlier? Because what's also interesting about this new moon is that it has Chiron, who is the wounded healer, at the opposite side of in Pisces, opposing this new moon. So there might be an element of a past wound or something that you're kind of working out of, something where you're trying to you're acknowledging something that is painful in your life, or that has been painful, or that has been a setback for whatever reason. And now all this Virgo focalization, I don't know if that's a word, but I just said it, is now allowing us to kind of tap into that wound and strategize to take us beyond being that wounded warrior or that wounded healer, and make stride in our dreams, because here we have this Neptune there, and chances are maybe we were wounded around something that we had a dream around, and maybe it didn't pan out quite the same way that we envisioned it, or maybe there's still a lot of work left to be done, but we can't, it's still painful to try to go down that road. There's all these, different types of ways of looking at it. But this is how I see these kind of things starting to play into place, because, we have Saturn in Sagittarius, who has been asking us to basically stabilize our visions and our dreams for the past, year and a half or so. And so because it's in Sagittarius, it's basically squaring that Virgo and Pisces energy. So that's at play too. How can we stabilize these big dreams? How can we get that plan in place? How can we focus our intention and figure out, the certain things that may have been holding us back? Because we are going to have this Virgo party for a little bit. That's why I think this next 24 to 48 hours would be perfect time for strategizing and planning to get the most out of this energy. Because that's what Virgo's good at. Virgo's good at being analytical and discerning things, and being practical about, how we go about our day-to-day reality, how we can master things, what is purposeful and meaning, and gives us meaning in our day-to-day existence. These are Virgo questions. So just tap into that and see how you can make your plan and your strategy around those positive sides of Virgo. Because on the negative side of Virgo, and especially since we have so many planets in Virgo right now, just be aware of that shadow side that might tempt you to be caught in some type of perfectionism and not being able to make a plan or move forward based on this idea of perfection that you have, that you basically don't move based on this ideal. Or say you worrying about, how am I going to do this? How's that going to go? This is another Virgo type of energy where you might have worry, or might be nitpicking over the details, or can see every foreseeable thing that could go wrong within this plan that you're trying to place. Get beyond that. That's not what we want to focus on right now. We want to focus on staying positive and finding the solution, figuring out the solution, and not becoming anxious over what could not go right for us at this time. So stay away from that self-criticism. But I think, you know, there's so much energy behind this new moon to give us all a fresh new start. And if you want to find out what this new moon means for you, for your sun sign and your rising sign, you can find on my YouTube page, I have horoscopes for each sun and rising, and I do talk about the new moon in those horoscopes. So check it out. You never know what you might find, and it might help your strategy in the long run. All right, so let's talk about the Sabian symbol that's assigned to this new moon degree. So if you've watched my previous videos, you know with Sabian symbols, we take the degree and the minutes and then we round up. So this one we have 27 degrees and 27 minutes. So that's going to be 28 degrees Virgo. So the Sabian symbol for this degree is a bald-headed man who has seized power. A bald-headed man who has seized power. Well, what does that mean? Well, you know, the keynote to this Sabian symbol is the sheer power of personality in times that call for decision. And this degree is really asking us to use the power of our own will to make a decision in life, you know, and because sometimes we get to these crossroads, or, you know, a situation has decayed enough or needs to be reassessed enough to where we have to make new decisions, and we have to basically pull upon our own willpower to make the decisions, because there's this urge for change in the air. And the only way things are going to change is if you take that power within your own hands and you become more decisive. And I think this really ties into, you know, we are about to have the sun move into Libra, and we have Jupiter in Libra, who is approaching an opposition with Uranus right now. And so there is that element of indecision and having to make choices and being more decisive in life. And I think that this Sabian symbol is really bringing out that energy. You know, how can we mobilize ourselves to basically, you know, grab our will together and be decisive? And that's Virgo. That is what Virgo does. You know, that is why Virgo is so keen with the details, is because it's so decisive. It sees these things. It knows what's to pick out. You know, it knows how to pick the best thing. It sees those qualities. So how can we basically grab onto that energy? You know, now that we have the ability to sort through and make educated decisions to a certain extent, you know, especially once these Neptune transits leave. And just know that sometimes decisions are made without us, and they affect us, whether it's on a government level, political level, relationship level, a job level. And so sometimes we have to deal with decisions that are made outside of our own will and from the will of someone else. So just know that whether you're the person, you know, whether it's a person or a situation that is either having you decide or having you accept a decision that's been made, just know that it has to be accepted in some way, whether you are accepting that decision and living with it, or you're accepting the fact that I have to make a decision and use the will, use my will and my own power to, you know, create more change in my life. And so I think that's really what this Sabian symbol is tying into. And I think it's really perfect for Virgo. So what decisions do you need to make, and how can you get your willpower on board to make them? All right, so let's see what the tarot has to say about this new moon in Virgo. All right, so it looks like we have the Wheel of Fortune as our focus and the Eight of Swords as our grounding. And I do have to say, this is kind of painting a perfect picture, not only for this Virgo new moon, but also the Sabian symbol we just talked about, you know, because the Wheel of Fortune is all about change, essentially, and focusing on, you know, where our destiny lies, and the change with the wheel, and some fortune that comes our way or some misfortune. Because that's the thing, the wheel can be up or the wheel can be down. And depending on what side you are on that wheel, just know that it's constantly spinning. So at some point, if you're down, you're going to be up. up. And if you're up, you better enjoy it, because at some point you're going to be down. And so how the Eight of Swords plays into this as the grounding is that I really see this as a change in our own energy and our own fortune by being able to take ourselves out of areas that we have had indecision, and we've been feeling trapped or powerless in our situation, like this, like this butterfly that is cocooned up. Well, it's not a butterfly yet, right? It's still in this cocoon and gestating, and not really able to move yet. And so that is where the Wheel of Fortune comes in, where we are, essentially the moon, and especially since it has all that light casting power, it's a new moon, we're planting these seeds, it's so specified with that Virgo energy, we're really tapping into our own personal destiny right now. And that is what another thing that the Wheel of Fortune represents, and what we see for ourselves in our legacy. What do you want to be known for? Because if you're still in this cocoon stage, and you're not letting you're not breaking out and letting those wings fly, then how are you going to fulfill that destiny? How are you going to get on the upside of the wheel if you don't free yourself essentially from this cocoon? So I really think that this is kind of an emergence, in a sense, from that indecision, from that feeling as if we're a martyr in some way, or that we're trapped or powerless in our situation. Because fear and indecision is not going to make that butterfly, break out and be this beautiful creature that is destined to be. It'll forever live in that cocoon, not birthing itself, in a sense. So how can we, look at reality in a new way? How can we turn that real? Because a lot of times when we have so many planets in Virgo, we're so focused on all these details, this hyper awareness of what is around us and what our life looks like, and it can feel a little bit much at times. And that's where you can be in the cocoon and like, oh my God, I'm trapped, I'm helpless, I'm like, it's just too much. So I'm seeing this as a new opportunity, basically, for us all to begin to wiggle our way out of that cocoon and dispel that fear, dispel that powerlessness, and dispel that indecision, and start to make these choices that we need to make in life, and take more power back into our own hands. Because essentially, like that willpower we were just talking about with the Sabian symbol, that is where our destiny lies. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy that you stopped by. And if you want to find out more about me and where I hang out in the services that I offer, such as readings, you can find me at energeticprinciples.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Energetic Principles. I also do a weekly podcast with Shauna McGrath of Neo-Feminine Astrology, and that is called The Feminine Principle, Astrology for Authentic Living. And that comes out weekly on Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend it, because we have a good old time together and we love discussing the planets every week. And so just a quick reminder, I do have those horoscopes up that I was talking about for this new moon. And also, it addresses, we're about to go into Libra season and the autumn equinox. So to find out what that means for your sign and your rising sign, check out my YouTube page and find those videos that correspond to you. So I am so happy that you stopped by. The best thing that you could do for me is to basically spread the word. If you like what you saw here today and found some enlightenment from it, share it with a friend. Spread the good word. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. So I'm wishing everybody new moon blessings. Let's take this Virgo energy and make it work for us instead of against us. Let's hone ourselves in and get this job done. So as always, may the stars be with you.